Right, welcome everybody to mycloudNews. Sorry, we had a slight hiccup there, but we're back up and running. So hopefully you're seeing everything here live on the screen. So this webinar can be watched on demand at any time. So just follow the link that you've joined here or on the screen that you can see. Next month we're going to be holding our next episode in July. In Las Vegas at Microsoft Inspire, so make sure you join us then. Now we've got a pretty packed agenda this morning, so I'm going to start off with just top of mind, the new partner agreement in CSP. I'm going to cover off Empower, Microsoft referrals, and the partner support guide. Also, we have a product update on Microsoft Autopilot, Teams, and Kaizala, and any upcoming events and training. Then Simon is going to join and give you a live demo on setting up new sub-accounts and tenants within myCloud Store, and also assigning users within myCloud Store and why this is so important, and a billing update. And then finally to end, we'll have Apollo, and he'll cover off Windows Virtual Desktop fundamentals. So just to start, Microsoft have a new partner agreement coming through on the 1st of September 2019. So what that means is this will replace any partner agreements that we've got in place at the moment. On July the 31st, the partner agreement will be available for you to preview in Partner Center. Then September 1st, the Microsoft partner agreement will be available for you to sign on Partner Center. And then on the January the 31st, 2020, all partners are required to accept the Microsoft partner agreement in order to transact in the CSP program. So just keep an eye out for that, and we'll be updating you closer to the time. Exceed Empower. So hopefully you guys are all in there and training. We've only got 1 month to finalise this training in there and earn your Prezi card. We do have another prop quiz for Azure, focusing on the Azure toolkit. And if you complete this on top of the current Azure quiz that you've done, we'll give you an extra $20 and a Prezi card. So make sure you do that before the end of this month. I just wanted to cover off Microsoft referrals. As a qualified Microsoft partner, you can create a business profile to showcase your business to customers who are looking for any solutions to address their business needs. So first step, you need to go in and create a marketing profile, and I've created a link there that you can follow when I sent this slide out to you. Within 24 hours, your profile will be online to all customers who are searching for partners who can help them with Microsoft products. So it's worthwhile doing. Just wanted to highlight support. So this is a step-by-step guide for partners. So please bookmark this page. It's a really handy, and they have up to the support side of things for New Zealand. So you just simply go to this page, Microsoft, in your Microsoft Partner Portal, and you can follow through and pick which area of support that you're after. For a product update, Windows Autopilot. So I don't know if any of you are actively using this at the moment, but Windows Autopilot is part of Microsoft 365. Now, they are developing a product key, which is a PKID barcode, which is actually going to be produced on the outside of the box from now on. So it's going to allow a more seamless process going forward with Windows Autopilot. So we will confirm the date for HP devices soon. I'd say it will be within the next month that you'll start seeing this going forward. I just wanted to touch on Teams. So if you've got any customers that are asking about ROI on Microsoft Teams, or do they need any real hard data to evaluate Teams or convince their management, then Microsoft have commissioned the Forrester Consulting to conduct this total economic impact study. And it has produced some really excellent results. So you can download this study here, but it's shown, as you can see there from the graphic, it's showing a number of 150 trips saved, overnight trips replaced by online meetings by year 3. Also 45 minutes per week is saved by frontline workers, collaborating with colleagues, etc. So it's worth a read. Also, Microsoft have also got a cloud trial for Teams. So if you've got anyone that doesn't have access to Microsoft Teams, then they can download the trial for 1 year, and that's free of charge. So there's a link there that you can follow. And lastly, just on a product update, Microsoft Kaizala, now that is now available for all Office 365 and M365 customers. So you can download this for free. So if you're not sure what Kaizala is, it's a simple, secure work management and messaging app. So the easiest way to look at it is think of WhatsApp and the way you work with WhatsApp. You can identify anyone via their phone number, and then you can message them through this app. They're also going to introduce this into Microsoft Teams within the next 12 to 18 months. Microsoft Learning. So I just wanted to touch on this. Has anyone checked out Microsoft Learn? So within Microsoft Learning, it's an online portal where you can go in and track your learning. You can sit courses like Microsoft 365 Fundamentals, also the Azure Fundamentals, and it's a self-paced learning guide. So you can go through there, you earn trophies, you earn badges, etc., and it's all tracked, and that will lead you through to the Microsoft certifications. And lastly, we've got Microsoft Inspire, and that's in Las Vegas. So we will be going there, myself, Jason and Matt, next month, and we'll be live there to update you guys on the latest Microsoft announcements. Now that's it from me. I'm just going to hand over to Simon Tabron, who's going to give you some live demo sessions inside my cloud store.
Thanks, Janine. Thanks everybody for attending, or if you're listening to this in the future, that's pretty cool. What I'm going to cover today is we've had a little bit of feedback from some of our partners using our mycloud store portal with how do we set up new customers and new tenants, what are the user details for. And I'll just do a little bit of an update on some of the reporting available and some of the updates on billing. So look, I'll move through this, and by all means, my details will be at the bottom of the sway that Janine will provide with the post-match info. So please feel free to reach out to me directly if you need any sessions, one-on-one sessions with your team, and especially as we roll billing out more and more, I'm really keen to engage with your accounts teams on how we can simplify the process for them in the subscription billing. But let me just share my screen and fire up a mycloud store landing page for you. So you'll see in front of you now, hopefully, our mycloud store demo account. And this is the reseller level account. So you guys as partners will log into Partner Portal as a reseller, and you will see this sort of detail if you go into your details screen. Some of the features on the screen, as we talked about last week, were things like billing and the information that you can have emailed to you on a date that you choose. We'll have that all active and notify you all when that field is available, and we can transmit those files to you. But one of the other things that you can do on the screen as well is you can look at or receive an email for any changes within Customer Portal. So when a user adds licenses or new subscriptions, and that's just a matter of scrolling down to the Microsoft CSP details, checking the box here. If I go into edit mode, we just check the box here under CSP notification email, just activate that box, and then you put an email address, and that could be IT support or it could be accounts at your reseller account, and they'll be notified every time that there's a subscription change in one of your sub accounts or one of your tenants. But it will only notify you of subscription changes through the mycloud store portal. If you're using Partner Center or the Customer Admin Center outside of my cloud store, you won't obviously get notified for those changes. And there's some reasons why you should be using the My Cloud Store portal to do all of that end-to-end customer management. And I'll take you through that in a second, the reasons why we do that. I'll just cancel out of this and take you through some of the notification screens. So you obviously have in this top screen sub-accounts, and so we've just set up a new sub-account, mycloudNews. If you were adding a brand new sub-account, and I'll take you through this now, it's a really simple process. It's just a matter of going add sub-account, putting the account details, so we could call this test 1. We put our cursor in the box, test 1, and then you're going to set master admin details, 6 letters. So your master admin is going to be the person that's going to have control. And by default, what we did is when we first rolled My Cloud Store out, it was masteradmin@mycloudstore.co.nz. So that was the default screen for all the default master admin for all customer portal users. I'll show you how you can go in and change that. It's really recommended that you guys change that to a local email address. And if you have multiple users using the customer portal to manage customers, you would need to set up multiple users in there so that if you are getting that notification email, rather than having to go and look at the logs, you can actually get a notification saying that XYZ user changed this license under this sub account. So the reporting becomes much more efficient for you. And then you can just do go through and create a password. And so I'm setting up a brand new sub account here. See if we can get our passwords to match, and add and activate. Passwords don't match, so let's do this again. The cursor, the live demo, highly secure password. And so all you're doing now is you're activating a new sub account. So what's happened here is the portal has now picked up the details that you have for the sub account in My Cloud Store. We haven't set up the CSP tenant here yet. So what I can do, and I'll use the mycloudNews account. As you can see over here, if there were licenses assigned or users in this account, it would actually say it here. If I open this up, what you'll see that is missing from this screen is we need a CSP tenant ID and a CSP primary domain. So if you are transferring customers, existing CSP customers from, say, another reseller to yourselves in My Cloud Store, these are the two details that we need as we go through to set this sub account up, because they'll already have an existing CSP tenant ID and a CSP primary domain. Once you authorize Exceed for access to that sub account, that link that you have to log into, we see those details in our partner center, so we can help you and pull that data through. So it's a relatively straightforward process to move existing CSP customers into My Cloud Store and manage them as a CSP tenant. So because we're missing those details, this My Cloud Store, My Cloud News account doesn't actually have a CSP tenant as such. So what we can do is we can go through and actually set that up. As you see, I've set myself up as the master admin. I simply come over and launch Customer Portal 3, as you would do. Scroll down to Microsoft CSP, and you can see that there's no details in here, but it's asking me to activate my account. I can then go through and complete these details with customer address, the primary contact, accept the Microsoft Cloud agreement on behalf of the customer. I won't go through and do this because this can take, at any time, it could take 15 minutes to an hour, depending on how busy Partner Center is at the time. So I won't go through and fully provision this, but it's a simple process to pick up that domain name. And if the domain name is currently under use, then it's going to go off and see. So it tells me that domain's not available. So I need to go through and select another domain name for this customer. And it will go through, because we're calling the Microsoft Partner Center API to validate that domain on Microsoft's system. It'll come through and tell you when it's not available, so you can use whatever differences in the primary domain to actually physically to set that up within Microsoft's system. So one of the other questions around sub-accounts that we've had is, when I've pulled through all of the details from the CSP, an existing CSP tenant, does that pull all the license information through? And if they're with another supplier, so with one of the other providers, we can't pull that license detail through. So you need to reinitialize the licensing within my cloud store and then cancel them on the other vendor. It could be the other way around. So you cancel, make sure the licenses are available in the My Cloud Store portal. You then cancel those subscriptions on the other provider or on the other distributor, and then we provision those licenses for you here under the Exceed provider umbrella. So we're able to get that process part finished for you, but there's obviously some management at a reseller level that needs to happen. What I'll do is I'll go back to this My Cloud Store demo account, because I actually have some licenses provisioned under it, and I'll just show you how simple it is to set up a new user and assign licenses. So as you see, I've got a customer portal user details. So you're allowed to add as many of these customer portal users as you like. And so these will be the users that will manage that specific customer tenant. Partner portal users are the users that you as resellers log into the partner portal, the My Cloud Store partner portal as. So it may sound a little bit convoluted, but we have two portals, and this is purely because we allow you to let your customers manage themselves if you wish. And we have a number of partners that are doing that today. So it's the most efficient way that we can separate your corporate data, your commercially sensitive information, from individual customer users. So let me just log into Customer Portal here, and I'll just show you the way that this is set up. So we go down to our Microsoft CSP services, and as you can see, I've got one Exchange Online plan license, and that's a fully assigned license. We just minimize this out of the way. So if I wanted to add additional subscriptions, I could do that here by adding a second license to that. That license is assigned, so let me go in and show you the users. So as you can see, that license is assigned to me as the test admin. What I'm going to do, just to show you that, is I'm going to unassign that subscription to me now. Just save that. So it's going to update that user account. The license is always going to be there. So that license, as you can see now, if we go back to general, I have no assigned licenses in my CSP subscription screen. So what I'll do is I'll just show you how simple it is, and the reasons why we do this is that because of the way the API works, the API syncs only one way automatically, so we can only send data from My Cloud Store to Microsoft Partner Center one way. So if you're managing your customers and users in Microsoft's platform outside of My Cloud Store, when you log in, the license counts are going to be different. So it's either a choice of you do it in My Cloud Store, and I'll show you how simple that is in a second, or when you log into My Cloud Store so that you want to look at the licenses if somebody else logs in and you've managed in Microsoft's Partner Center, you need to run a sync, and that's simply hitting this button here, and that will manually sync the information out of Partner Center to My Cloud Store. That can take a fair amount of time, depending on how big the customer tenant is, and I'll show you the reasons why that can take a fair amount of time. So I've just got the My Cloud Store subscriptions here, and so I'm sitting here in Microsoft Partner Center, and if you look at this error message here, or this information message here, so there can be a delay of up to 4 hours, and this is Microsoft's system, this isn't the My Cloud Store platform, between the time a subscription is activated, so i.e. you add a new license to a service, and to when the activation status is updated in that list of customer subscriptions. So that could be a 4-hour turnaround time. The information that we show you in My Cloud Store are licenses that are available to be managed. So this is a really important thing to note, is that if you see that cog spinning in My Cloud Store with a pending provisioning, as per the Microsoft Partner Center platform, guys, that can take up to 4 hours to show in My Cloud Store. So, I've been away at conferences and they're trying to fix this. Microsoft are really working diligently to make this faster. But the process here is that if a new license needs to be added, it can take a fair amount of time to turn that around. And that we're all hamstrung by that. That's actually a global thing. It's not just restricted to us here in New Zealand or to Exceed specifically. It's actually a global thing. So, I just wanted to make you guys aware of that there can be some delays, and it's really at an API end, because I don't want to be showing you stuff here in our customer portal that isn't accurate, so that it's impossible for you to manage an accurate service if the license details in here aren't what is actually available to you to manage for that customer. So this is just a restriction that's on all of us, and it's important that you guys are aware of that. So let me just show you how simple it is to set up and manage a user. So let's just do this for Janine. I'm going to try and spell her name right. So we'll just make you JB. Give you the highly secure password email, and then we'll just give Janine an email address. So as I can go through here now, because I've got an available license, I can assign that license to Janine now if I wish. And this makes it a lot simpler, is that what this is doing is this is setting up Janine, who is a brand new user in this customer tenant. This is setting up her Azure Active Directory subscription. It's provisioning that Exchange Online license to her, so she'll be able to log in with the password that we've set up for her, password 1. She'll be able to go to the portal.office.com, log into that for this tenant, for the My Cloud Store test.on Microsoft tenant, and actually download that Exchange Online or the Outlook client, so that she can link that to her Exchange Online. Or yourselves as resellers, you can do that and set that up for her as you would do as part of your managed service. So let me just add Janine as a user, and she's going to have that license provision to her. And as I say, there can be some delays in doing this because it's setting up a license. For a general API call, they do say that the timestamp should be around 90 seconds to turn this around, but it can take up to 15 minutes. And as you saw before, adding licenses can take up to 4 hours. So there are some reasons why you sometimes see this cog spinning. As you see, that's been refreshed. That license is now assigned to Janine's My Cloud Store test tenant in the Microsoft platform. I can come in here and reset Janine's Azure Active Directory password if I wanted to, if she needs to or forgets it. But she can now log into the portal using that highly secure password exclamation mark that I used, and be able to access that account. So we'll just unprovision this license now from Janine. And you can also do all of this straight in the My Cloud Store portal. And there's reasons why we suggest you do it in here, because obviously you're not the only person accessing it, and some of your colleagues may come along that are using the portal, and they may find that they've got to run a sync to actually update all the license counts. So that's the setting up users, adding new sub-accounts, and covering off some of the issues that we've had around delays over the past couple of months. One of the other things that I really just wanted to update you on is some of the reporting functionality in My Cloud Store. And we've got some really good functional reporting services in the portal. So we've talked about the CSP cost reporting. You may see that there's a new screen here. So you can now select your date. And if I'm to select usage, you'll see that there's an error message, it's an information message that comes up. So the usage file is purely for reporting out of my cloud store. I was away at a meeting with some of the API guys last week, and we talked about the delays in actually showing accurate information for consumption, for usage. The official word from Microsoft is that the API, which makes the calls on what quantity used per month, runs about between 48 hours and up to 8 days behind what the billing information shows. So they use two APIs to, one, create the reconciliation file that we invoice against versus the API that we use to get this reporting out of. So one of the key things, and I'm more than happy to do one-on-one sessions with you and your teams to ensure that it's clear about how these reports are generated and the actual file and information that you can pull out of them. They're really clever. We've actually created some information repositories that are ahead of what Microsoft are doing today, in that we can show you things like workload tags, resource groups, and workload IDs and names pulled through on this usage file that you can get from my cloud store versus the information that we get in the reconciliation file, which doesn't have any reference to workload IDs, resource groups, or tags. So you're pulling a lot more information, but just be aware that the data behind this information report especially around billing, can be up to 48 hours behind, or can be 48 hours to up to 8 days behind. So it's just important to be clear on that. But like I say, more than happy to cover that off one-on-one with your teams. Some of the other reporting that comes out of here is you get a usage chart as you see as you manage the demo account, or you can export subscriptions. So you can do this either at a customer level, so these screens are available for all of your sub accounts, or you can pull it out for all of your reseller accounts. What the information gives you is, so if I have a look at the demo subscription report here, so it gives you customer information, what the subscriptions are, how many licenses they have of each subscription, and how many are assigned. It then gives you the user information that specific license is assigned to, billing frequency, whether it's active or retired, start date and commitment end date, and then whether auto renews available. We've now added RRP pricing and deal pricing in here, and it's got some order ID information as well in there. But the new features in here is you get your deal price, which is your reseller buy price, and whether all of those licenses are assigned. So if there were only 17 assigned for this customer, it would only show 17 in that assigned column. And as you can see here, you've got an Exchange Online kiosk license that they're consuming, but it's not been assigned to any user. Obviously, with Microsoft Azure, it's only going to show you a subscription, but because of the way it bills slightly differently, it's not going to show you how that's physically assigned. So that is available from this screen, the products and services CSP report. You have CSP cost reporting, and you have a CSP report screen, which shows you effectively the subscription details. There's also a user report, which is the export users report. And what that gives you is it gives you what the customer details is, the user, their contact email address, so the email that's assigned to that specific license. And that gives you some details on whether you have assigned them across, or it can show you things like shared mailboxes and where those subscriptions are being utilised across that customer base. So they're the two main reports that you can pull out of the CSP reporting tab versus the CSP cost reporting tab, which gives you either your license or your usage report for that specific tenant, or like I say, you can pull this down across all of your customers under the reseller account. So on that note, what I will do is I will stop sharing my screen and hand back over to Janine to cover off the hand. Oh, sorry, no, we won't. We'll hand back over to Apollo, who's going to cover off some of the Azure training and some really cool stuff that Microsoft are going to launch around Windows Virtual Desktop, guys. This is this is a real game changer for our market, I believe. So over to you, Apollo.
Thanks, Simon. Hi, partners. My name's Apollo Russell. For those who haven't met me before, I work for Microsoft and I'm an Azure sales specialist. And so I'm aligned to working with Exceed in helping them drive Azure through the partners, which is yourself, and to help you, the partners, migrate your customers to the cloud and on that journey. And so I've traveled most of the country with Janine, and we've heard through the SMB channel that a lot of customers currently have terminal servers on premises, and the boxes are going up. They're end of life, or partners used to have their own private hosted cloud with offering a DAS service, and now it's becoming too expensive. And so with all that information, Microsoft has now got a solution which I believe is going to be perfect for the SMB market in going to the cloud for those terminal services or RDS scenarios. And so this is Windows Virtual Desktop. I'm not going to go too technical into it today because I don't have much time. But this is something which, if you're interested, do contact me, and I can have a more technical conversation with you in regards to all the solutions, the architecture, etc. And we can go from there. But just to give you an overview, so Windows Virtual Desktop will deliver the best virtual desktop experience in Azure. And so it delivers the only multi-session Windows 10 experience. It has enabled optimizations for Office 365 Pro Plus, which you'd know for the terminal servers. Migrate Windows Server RDS desktops and apps, and deploy and scale in minutes. So this is so the deploy and scale is where we use Azure virtual machines and their scalability. So if we have high compute, and we need to be able to scale it up, then you can use the VMs as opposed to buying another server rack if you've got more people that need to use the terminal server. So Windows Virtual Desktop with Microsoft 365 enables customers to deliver the best virtual desktop with the richest Windows 10 and Office 365 experience, stream the full desktop or specific apps to any device. And the benefits include the Windows desktop and apps hosted in Azure to allow you to instantly scale with Azure Compute and Storage. The virtualization management plane hosted in Azure, which includes the diagnostics, the networking, the connection broker and gateway. So this is the platform for Windows Virtual Desktop that Microsoft offers, and this is free. The only charge that we get is through Azure and the other relevant licenses. A new multi-session edition of Windows 10, Windows 10 Enterprise VD, available only on Azure, Windows 10, Windows 7 and Windows Server 2012 R2 Plus desktops, as well as remote access to Win32 apps hosted in Azure, and the richest Office 365 experience in virtual desktop environments when running Office 365 Pro Plus with your M365 subscription. And so much to the same story when I'm going around the regions, you can see that with Microsoft, they're taking everything away from the on-premises. They've gone to Office 365, M365, and Azure. You can see this ecosystem moving up into the cloud, and all these licenses and different subscriptions will work with each other in the future, within that Microsoft ecosystem in the cloud. So just top of mind, just to give you a bit of a timeline. So the public preview for Windows Virtual Desktop is currently available. We will probably have GA around Inspire, which will be around July this year. And then for it to go to Australian data centers, which is where us in New Zealand can access it, will be 4.5 months. So realistically, we're looking around the end of the year to have access in New Zealand to Windows Virtual Desktop. But at the moment, we can go through public previews. We can do labs and little workshops to show you how this works for the hybrid connections, or even just using the Azure Active Directory domain services to eliminate that DC on-prem. So here's a high-level architecture. Okay, so it provides the virtualization infrastructure as a managed service, so a platform. It utilizes the Azure AD identity services. It deploys and manages VMs in the Azure subscription, which can be done through Exceed, and manage using existing tools like Configuration Manager, and simply connect to on-premise resources. I've got a slide in my appendix which will show you more about how this works in terms of the networking. And so a lot of people get confused in regards to the licensing requirements for Windows Virtual Desktop, and hopefully this will bring some light to any of the confusions. So what are the eligible Windows and M365 licenses to access Windows Virtual Desktop? So you're eligible to access Windows 10 and Windows 7 with WVD if you have one of the following licenses. And these are all the M365, basically all the M365 licenses that have that Windows 10 VDA access as part of the license. The Windows 10 Enterprises E3 and E5, Windows 10 Education A3 and A5, and obviously the Windows 10 VDA per user license. And then you've got clients that are currently using the server image. So what is the eligibility criteria on remote desktop services, RDS CAL licenses, to access Windows Server desktops and apps on WVD? So you are eligible to access Windows Server 2012 R2 and newer desktop images and apps if you have an RDS CAL license with SA. So for the customers that are currently have an on-premises setup for terminal servers and they have RDS CALs with SA, you can use that if you want to use the server image. But if we're just using a multi-session or a user session, then we can use the VDA license from the M365 and Windows 10 licenses that are above. So they're two separate things, and hopefully that clears a little bit of the confusion. And if you want me to talk more about it, then just give me a contact. Just contact me offline, and we can go through this. And so this is just a slide about Azure consumption and how it works with WVD. So you can see now we've got the M365 licenses, the Win 10 licenses, and how that works, say with the RDS CALs with SA. And so how does it work with Azure? So you only pay for the virtual machines, the storage, and the networking consumed. So basically you're only paying for the infrastructure. You have the flexibility to pick any VM and storage options to match your use cases. And on top of that, we can bring down the cost of virtual machines, which I know is quite important for the SMB customers, because VMs are still quite expensive, as perceived in the channel. But we can utilize RIs if you know that you can commit your customer for 1, 2, or 3 years, and we can drop the price of the infrastructure cost of the virtual machine. And I can help you work out how to do that. So virtualizing Windows Server. So it supports 2012 R2, 2016, and 2019. If an older version, probably need to upgrade to a newer version or refactor the app for Windows 10 multi-session. Office 365 Pro Plus support only in Windows Server 2016, 2012 R2 and 2019 only support Office Perpetual. Use Windows 10 Enterprise multi-session for best experience. And so require the use of Windows Server VMs on Azure, but can leverage a hub for cost saving. So if you have open licenses and you've bought Windows Server, say 2016 with SA, then you can use the Azure hybrid use benefits to once again drop down the OS cost of the virtual machine. So we've got the reserved instances that'll bring down the infrastructure cost of the VM, and then we've got a hub which will drop the OS price of Windows Server being virtualized in Azure. So the Windows Server RD session host is scalable, multi-user legacy Windows environment Windows Server, and multiple users, Win32, Office 29 perpetual, and it's a long-term servicing channel. So here, for anybody that wants to know a bit more about the technical requirements, this is just very high level. So the prerequisites to using Windows Virtual Desktop. So clients authenticate with Azure Active Directory, AD identities. Azure AD allows use of conditional access and MFA. And Windows VMs are AD domain joined for optimal app compatibility. So to join your on-premises domain controller with Azure Active Directory using the AD Connect. As you can see here, you've got the remote desktop client, which is the customer managers. And so you've got all your endpoint devices there. You've got the Windows Virtual Desktop, which is the platform provided by Microsoft, which helps with the web access, diagnostics, the connection broker, and the gateway. And then once again, you've got the customer, which manages the AD and the virtual machines in Azure and what have you. So requirements are an Azure subscription. You can do this through CSP or direct with Microsoft. I would say if you're going to go through Exceed, go through CSP. Azure Active Directory setup, so full admin rights, and Azure AD Connect for that hybrid, and Active Directory Federated Server, which is optional for single sign-on. You'll need a domain controller on premises, and optional would be some sort of networking on-prem connectivity. So that could be a dark fiber express route for any of your providers here in New Zealand, site-to-site VPN, etc. And then, of course, the entitlement check, which is the licensing, where we went back to M365 licenses, Win 10, RDS CALs with SA, etc. So, network must route to a Windows Server Active Directory. The AD must, so that's your domain controller. The AD must be in sync with Azure AD, so users can be associated between the two. and the VMs must domain join this AD. So the considerations are you've got two hybrid connection types, and then you've got one which is isolated. So you've got the express route, which is that dedicated fiber, and that goes through a dedicated network ISP. You've got the site-to-site VPNs, which we can do in Azure, or you've got like Fortinet and what have you. And the other consideration is this limited bandwidth compared to express route. But the other thing to consider is express route is significantly more expensive than site-to-site VPN. And then you've got Azure AD domain services, which is an isolated connectivity type. And the consideration for there is must synchronize password hashes to Azure AD. So with the acquisition of FS Logics, customers will get access to 3 core pieces of technology. And in the level 300 slide that I've got for anyone who's interested in more of this information, it will dive in deeper into the profile containers, the app masking and the Java redirection. But just as a high level, so for the profile container, the replacement for roaming profiles and folder redirection, and that includes Office 365 containers which roam all cache data. You've got app masking, which allows single image with all applications, good app compatibility with no packaging, sequencing, backend infrastructure or virtualization, and you've got Java redirection, which helps protect the enterprise from vulnerabilities of multiple installed versions of Java by specific mapping of individual apps and websites. So WVD deployment and management options. So for the deployment, onboarding will be through the Azure Marketplace or through GitHub. So on GitHub, you do have ARM templates to deploy new or update existing host pools. With the management, Azure Portal will enable native integration post-GA for deployment and management alongside the other services. Use REST APIs to set and manage WVD directly, build complex workflows, sample UIs, and outlines for customers will be provided. And of course, PowerShell is the best option for repeatable deployment, Azure integration and DSC. Other options include Terraform or partner management solutions. And for hosting partners, leverage multi-tenancy support to scale the number of customers. So Windows Virtual Desktop has a partnership with Citrix. So WVD seamlessly integrates with the Citrix Workspace and Citrix Virtual Apps on desktops. So it provides users with the benefits of Windows Virtual Desktop, such as multi-session Windows 10 experiences on Azure, offers optimizations with Office 365 containers, profile containers, app masking, and free extended security updates with Windows 7. So if you've got any customers that are currently using Windows 7, then if you host them in Windows Virtual Desktop in Azure, you get the free security updates or the extended security updates. Centrally manage your hybrid deployments with WVD on Azure and manage existing Citrix virtual app and desktop services on-prem. And then you can rapidly provision Windows Virtual Desktop resources at scale using Citrix. So here's something that was just some food for thought for the future. So we have a partnership with Samsung DeX. Okay, so it provides a full screen Windows 10 or Office 365 Pro Plus experience with Samsung DeX enabled mobile devices. So I believe that's Galaxy S8s and up, and it provides the Windows Virtual Desktop experience on an Android endpoint. Okay, so you can see now that we don't really need a thin client because we do have the compute power within our phones. And if you've got your laptop bag or your handbag, take a mobile, like a Bluetooth keyboard or a mouse, and away you go. Plug it into a monitor, and you've got a computer, and you've got a session. Enhance mobility and productivity with small and big screen experience, allowing customers to seamlessly switch from one application to another. And of course, the biggest concern for most of the customers within New Zealand and within SMB is latency. And so with the new Samsung Galaxy S10 support for 5G and Wi-Fi 6, and also we have a POP in Auckland for the Australian data centres, it'll be through some of the other providers. I do have more information for that if we're looking at bandwidth and latency issues, which would be of concern because it is hosted in the cloud. So your call to action, if you want to know more information, you can go to aka.ms/WVD preview, and that will give you all the information that you need, documentation, pricing, etc. The other thing is to just get in contact with me, and I can lead you, answer all your questions, and then point you in the direction that you need to if you want more specific information. And so access to FX Logic technology will be included in the following licenses. So pretty much everything we're speaking about before. So you got your M365, E3, A3, F1, Business, E5, A5, yeah, basically everything. So integration of FS Logic technology into the above Microsoft Office will be coming soon. And that's it from me.
Right, thank you everybody. Thanks for joining us. Now I'll send out the slide deck through to you all in the next sort of 10 minutes. And if you've got any questions, you'll find the presenters' contact details at the end of the slide deck. Thank you guys, and have a good week.
Thank you.